What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of 100 Yards Football Sports Talk Radio. I'll be your host and producer, Logan Landers. Join me here today to talk about the North Carolina Tar Heels team preview is Jay McLovin from the Elite Sports and Entertainment Network. Jay, how you doing, my friend? And how's the Tar Heels going to do in 24?
Yeah, I'm doing good, Logan. I appreciate that. Yeah, we look at this North Carolina team. They're roughly ranked 46th out of 134 teams. So they're kind of like in the middle of the pack, maybe a little bit closer to the top, I guess, of the pack. But they're 9-3. That's what I'm kind of predicting for them this season, Logan. To be honest with you, the schedule. I look at this and I see Minnesota's on August 29th being a good team. They're going to be playing. Maybe Duke, depending on what Duke does this year. FSU for sure. And then I got NC State, which will be a good rivalry game there. So, I think probably the Minnesota, the FSU, and the NC State, those will be the three losses. If they do take losses, those will be the three likely losses that gives them that 9-3 record. So keep an eye on those three games. Matt Brown, former UT coach, is over that squad. He's got a good quarterback, the quarterbacks, he has a good history of putting quarterbacks in the NFL. The last quarterback obviously being Drake May. So this guy has two quarterbacks currently in the NFL. So look for Mac to keep developing these quarterbacks, and it's going to be interesting to see how he does this year. The offense ranked last year, they ranked number 7 in the nation in yards per game. So when obviously that is under Drake May, so they do quite well. Running back Amarian Hampton had over 1,500 yards last year. So, and then wide receiver J.J. Jones, he led with receiving yards and receptions. He led the team in receiving yards and receptions last year. Slot wide receiver Kobe Paysour will return after suffering that season-ending injury. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with the good accompaniment of receivers. They got the quarterback, obviously. Chris Culver will need to make more of a splash, have more splash plays on offense and the kick return game as well. So the special teams is going to have their work cut out for them. I believe I think that what they're going to find in that quarterback right now, there is no quarterback. There's I guess it's competition. So if I had to say a weakness for the team is going to be who's going to be the starting quarterback, honestly. The O-line is stout, obviously, up front. They look to have filled the holes in the transfer portal. They got Georgia transfer center Austin Blask, and they have North Texas transfer offensive tackle Howard Sampson. So they have rebuilt that offensive line. They have good offensive line, good receivers, good running back. They have a good head coach. They had 3 tough games. The only thing that this team needs to do now is just figure out who their quarterback's going to be. The race currently is between Connor Harrell and Max Johnson, transfer Mac Johnson, and then they have Jacoby Criswell. I think it's going to be between Harrell and Johnson, to be honest with you, Logan, who gets that spot. But if they can figure that part out, if that guy can be productive, this could be one hell of a team, and they could push NC State for sure. The defense, they ranked 75th in total defense last season. So they have a good defense. New defensive coordinator in Jeff Collins will rely heavily on his linebacker, Powell Echols, coming off back-to-back seasons with 100 tackles. And then, and interestingly enough, Logan, and this is the part I don't like, and I just saw my last note on that, is this actually going to be a co-defensive coordinator's job, and Tommy Thigpen will be co-defensive coordinator with Jeff Collins. Now, Logan, the last time I seen anybody be co-anything was out there in New England under Bill Belichick, and I don't know how well that went for him. Do you remember how well that went for him?
The less said, the better, maybe.
Yeah, so I just don't like this co-defensive coordinator thing, but hey, we'll see what Matt Brown does with this, and hopefully they'll be okay. So then, like I said, then you have defensive end Cameron Rocker, who has 61 tackles, 15 tackles for loss, and 8.5 sacks. So this is definitely their key guy, Logan. This guy is going to have another monster season like he did last year. And the last thing I'll point out about North Carolina, I'll turn it over to you, is Matt Brown is great at developing quarterbacks and running backs. And this season, Logan, I got to tell you, man, more than any other season that he's had, because there is such a question at quarterback. This is going to be Mac Brown's 2 test to see if he can resurrect, or not resurrect so much, but just keep going with what he did over the last 2 quarterbacks, if he can continue that.
Yeah, we'll see what North Carolina can do. Like I said, Drake May is gone. Up to the bat is either Max Johnson, Jacoby Criswell, Connor Harrell. We're still kind of waiting to see. There is no like definitive answer at the time of this recording, so we're just kind of guessing, like all the North Carolina Tar Heel fans out there, about who's going to be starting under center for either week 1, might be quarterback by committee, game by game basis. We don't know yet. So we'll see what happens there. I mean, when you look at this team, obviously they've got some experience, obviously with Mac Brown being their head coach, a veteran in the game. You mentioned Jeff Collins, who they're bringing over from Georgia Tech to help lead their defensive unit. Chip Lindsey on the offensive side, and quarterbacks, and like you said, Tommy Thigpen and Jeff Collins might be button heads. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Interesting strategy. But when you look at this unit, right, you lost Tez Walker as well, someone who is a really talented receiver. He's no longer there, but at least you keep J.J. Jones for 1 more year. He's a senior. You've got good players like Gavin Blackwell on your wide receiving unit, Nate McCollum. But the real, I think, kind of shiny object on this team is in the running back room, as you mentioned, with Omarion Hampton, guy who just gets it, Jay.
Yeah,
he flat out can do whatever you need him to do at that running back position, and he does a great job. Like I said, over 1,500 yards, 15 touchdowns for him, and I'm expecting even more of him this season. Now, when you look at this team, O-line, good for the ground game, not the greatest for the passing game. I expect that to be better this year. When you're bringing in Austin Blasky over from Georgia, good pick there, and also Howard Sampson over from North Texas, help fill in at left tackle. You're also bringing on over Willie Lampkin from Coastal Carolina. So might take a little bit of time for these guys to gel on the unit there for the O-line. I mean, like I said, it was really good. The offense was solid. But the defense has to get it going this year if they want to get to 10 wins. Pass rush wasn't there. Run defense was awful, Jay. Gave up around 400 yards a game, just in total, I should say. Like I said, so they were 5-0, Jay, last year when they gave up less than 30 points. They were 3-5 and they gave up that many. It's hard to win when you give up over, 5 scores, over 4+. So it's tough. It's tough. So you got to help defense this year. You got some experience on your front with your big guys. Kamen Ruckers, you said 265. He's more that lean kind of hybrid player we see where edge rushers are a little bit more leaner now and not as heavy. You got Kevin Hester, though, who's bulking up there, right? 315 right there. So those are some of your big guys. Ritzy as well, one of the big tackle spots. And the secondary, you bring back 3 starters. We got Marcus Allen, Elijah Huzzy. So I think that'll be good. You're also getting Antavius Lane, from Georgia State with the Panthers. So I think he'll be good. And also North Carolina State transfer, Jakeem Harris, was hurt a little bit last year, missed most of the season, but he's coming back. He's strong. He's a veteran. He's good at tackling for the safety spot. So I think that if North Carolina wants to be successful this year, I'm not expecting anything less from the offense. I think they'll do exactly what they did last year. It's the defense that needs to step up. If North Carolina wants to compete, if North Carolina wants to try and get an ACC championship, their defense is going to have to come to play. And like you said, when you look at this team and who all they're facing coming out the gates with Minnesota in late August here, but then you got some teams you should be like Charlotte, NC Central, a couple teams like that. But then picks up with Georgia Tech and Pittsburgh. But I've got circled 2 games, obviously, and that's going to be November 2nd against Florida State, top 10 team in the nation right there. And then NC State, good rivalry game in NC State. You can hear what we said about them, but they're also a really good team. They're also in the top 25. So I think that in North Carolina, when I look at this.
Yeah, so when he looks at this team, I'm not sure where we're going with that.
That's back-to-back weeks now, Jay, that I've tried to go back from my notes and I was on the wrong screen. But my final thoughts, I was wrapping it up anyways. North Carolina, if they want to get things going, just have the defense be a little bit better this year as opposed to years past. Well, Jay, I appreciate you coming on the show and for sticking around for the 10 seconds I had fallen out there. That's just how it is sometimes. I've been here with Logan Landers, guys. Till